Florida is more than beaches and the ocean. Florida is more than just flat roads. Continue the ride on the famous A1A coastal road with me. Ride on Daytona Beach with a motorcycle. Check out the historical town of St. Augustine. And explore the relaxed atmosphere of the nature surrounding Amelia Island.
I am starting at Daytona Beach, and Daytona is actually famous for the races that are held here. And I will continue up the Florida coast and very likely stay on the ocean as long as possible. Good morning everyone, I stayed at the more southern part of Daytona Beach and now I want to drive to central Daytona Beach. I think this area is as well famous for its nightlife, which I obviously didn't take part in, but I want to check it out now in the morning just to see how Daytona Beach looks in general.
Indeed, Daytona is often called the Surf Coast or the Fun Coast. Also because several motor events and races attract visitors from all over the world several times a year.
So this is supposed to be the main entry to Daytona Beach. Look, here it says the world's most famous beach, and it looks like there is a booth. Do you need to pay to enter the beach? Or it looks a bit like you can enter the beach with a vehicle, but why are they turning around? That's a bit strange.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, it's $20.
Ah, okay. And then you can drive here on the...
6.5 miles.
Oh, wow.
Do the whole drive.
Is it hard or is
It is hard.
So you think I can do it with a motorcycle? I'm not gonna
We
sink
do
in.
motorcycles all the time.
Oh, nice.
Go down there, turn right, go between those two blue signs that way.
All right.
10 miles an hour speed limit.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Have fun. Good tax.
Take care. And now I'm driving on the beach. How cool is that? I didn't know that this is possible here. Super nice. So how cool is this? You can ride along this beach here with your bike, vehicle, motorcycle or car. Pretty cool. But I can't put down the bike because it's sinking into the sand. Now watch and learn how to put your motorcycle down on your side stand in sand without sinking down. Isn't this absolutely super cool? Pretty nice.
Yes, it might sound a bit weird, but I really had no clue that Daytona Beach is historically known for its hard-packed sand that allows motorized vehicles on the beach in restricted areas. This hard-packed sand actually made Daytona Beach a mecca for motorsports, and the old Daytona Beach and Road Course hosted races for over 50 years. This was replaced though in 1959 by the Daytona International Speedway. Indeed, I mostly don't research the places I go beforehand, so usually I probably even have lesser clue about them than you guys before watching my videos. I have to admit that I love Daytona much more than I thought when arriving here yesterday. It is somehow very colorful and playful, and all these NASCAR shops everywhere. I for sure want to come back here at one point and go to a race as well. I mean, that I think must be very interesting to see. The city of Daytona is also the headquarters of NASCAR and hosts various motorsports events, notably Speed Weeks in early February, when over 200,000 NASCAR fans come to attend the season-opening Daytona 500. Other events include the NASCAR Coke Zero Sugar 400 race in August, Bike Week in early March, Biketoberfest in late October, and the 24 Hours of Daytona endurance race in January.
This here is still the A1A route along the coast, and in my opinion, here north from Daytona, it is now the prettiest it has been so far. Riding directly along the beach, the houses and architecture is as well much more small and somehow genuine, and not as pumped up as in the Miami area. I don't know, I think this here might be my favorite part of Florida that I've visited so far. Very nice.
One of my favorite places for sure, Daytona Beach, which is super cool for cars or motorcycle riders because you are allowed to go on the beach and ride on the beach. And I as well like the whole surrounding because to me it felt from Daytona on there was a stretch where it got much less posh and much less fancy than in Miami and all of northern Miami area. And I really liked that there was as well more genuine life, if you can say it like this. Because, I mean, I guess nobody gets offended by that if I say that the Miami life is pretty posh and very special. So it was very nice to see that there is as well a much more laid back, much less fancy way of life there on the coast.
Now I'm very hungry meanwhile. I need some breakfast and I will try to find a diner when getting closer to St. Augustine Beach, which I as well want to check out.
After a typical American diner breakfast, it was only a short ride to St. Augustine Beach and to St. Augustine's historical town.
Here, this is the first glimpse of St. Augustine. It already looks kind of cute. I can't wait to see more of it and its old town. It's supposed to be very pretty.
St. Augustine is the longest continually inhabited European founded city in the US and on the top of many bucket lists. The so-called nation's oldest city is part of Florida's historic coast, was founded in 1565 and has gone through many transformations since then. It is best explored by foot, super accessible, and today it is not only famous for its unique history, but also for its gorgeous waterfront views and most recent sensational restaurants.
I am in St. Augustine now, which is a very, very historic old town here in Florida. And I forgot to turn off my camera, but it's definitely worth to see. There's lots of colonial houses, small little alleys, and it's pretty touristic, but it's a nice place.
So I first checked out St. Augustine by foot, but you can actually as well ride a motorcycle through many of the old historical roads here of the old town. It's not that I would recommend that more than walking by foot, but I always think it's nice if not everything is forbidden and closed down completely. So it's kind of nice to ride through here in addition to the walking tour.
After my little ride through St. Augustine, the coastal route A1A took me further north, always along the ocean, always along the beach.
Just hold on tight, it'll be alright. Show me the way. Show me a way.
So there's one place I'm skipping here on the coast, and that's Jacksonville, that I'm basically riding by. I have never been there, so I have no clue if it's worth a visit or not, but I now just don't feel so much like city life and prefer to continue the coastal A1A route because I really enjoyed it today. So if you guys have any experiences and thoughts about Jacksonville and if it's worth to see and to visit, drop it in the comments so other people who follow the channel know and maybe can stop there when they do their trip.
Instead of big city life, I continued my ride to Mayport instead, where Route A1A is interrupted by St. Johns River, and my ride came to a sudden stop because the only way to cross the river is on a ferry.
I am at the ferry terminal in Mayport now, and whenever I'm at a ferry terminal, it feels like Expedition North all over again, because there I took so many ferries. But now it's only one and it only goes over a river, but I have to wait for half an hour.
Guys, I don't know if this is only today or general, but I feel very bad informed after not knowing that you can take your vehicle to Daytona Beach. I now didn't know that there is no bridge over this river, but it's pretty nice with a change and I'm happy about the ferry ride.
The St. Johns River Ferry is a car and passenger ferry that connects the north and south ends of Florida State Road A1A, linking Mayport and Fort George Island via a short sail across the St. Johns River. Your ferry ride is pretty brief though. The 0.9-mile trip to cross the St. Johns River takes only 5 minutes and departs every half hour.
So this part here of the coastal route A1A seems to go through a lot of state parks. It looks on Google Maps like there's one state park after the other. And it seems like it starts here with the Fort George Inlet.
Fort George Island Cultural State Park is followed by the Timucuan Ecological and Historical Preserve, Little Talbot Island State Park, Big Talbot Island State Park, and after crossing another bridge with Amelia Island State Park.
So we at least check out one of the state parks here, and this is Big Talbot Island State Park, and I'm going to a place called Boneyard Beach to get a little glimpse of the nature here.
Boneyard Beach is a well-kept secret for many people visiting from Jacksonville. 3 miles of shoreline along the Nassau Sound at the very northeast corner of the city limits form a spectacular visual and ecological escape to nature.
Now crossing over to Amelia Island, and people say it's a super cool place and a bit comparable to the Florida Keys from its relaxed attitude, and I want to try to find an accommodation there, but we will see how it goes.
Located just off the coast of northeast Florida, Amelia Island has 13 miles or 21 kilometers of beautiful beaches, and with Fernandina Beach, a buzzing but still relaxed seaport village.
We could go all night. We could go all night.
This here is downtown Fernandina Beach, and I was hoping to find some accommodation here, but online everything looked pretty booked. But I still want to have a look here and soak in the atmosphere because Amelia Island and Fernandina Beach was recommended to me by so many people.
Amelia Island and Fernandina Beach have been a very special place for decades. The enchanting Victorian seaport village was once a stomping ground for pirates, Gilded Age millionaires, bootleggers, and shrimpers. Between 1880 and 1910, Fernandina's docks were among the busiest in the south, welcoming ships from the far corners of the globe. Today, Fernandina Beach is still a place with a lot of character. To quote the mayor, Fernandina Beach is a community of easy living. Our locals are warm and relaxed. Welcome to our very special place.
Seeing the east coast now here of Florida, I have to say I definitely would go again. I loved it, and I loved this Daytona area. I as well loved everything north of Daytona. There were some very, very nice places, and I feel like I would like to visit there again just to like soak up this atmosphere. It's all very colorful. There are a lot of motels, and there are even like small amusement parks and things like this, but it's not like, it's not polished. It's somehow raw, colorful, and loud, and that's amazing. I think if you want to have like a complete East Coast journey here in the US, this part of the Florida coast, you just have to experience that. Without Florida and without as well experiencing this tropical, hot and humid place here, your East Coast journey is not complete. Talking about hot, I'm sitting here in my sweater. It was really unusual cold the last 2 days while I was riding. I'm not complaining because that was actually very nice, but it was cloudy all the time, and it had like, I think, 25 degrees, which actually can get chilly when riding a motorcycle.
On my previous trips through the US, I realized people have very strong opinions about Florida. And many of them might tell you to skip Florida when riding a motorcycle or doing a road trip, because they think it's boring or flat. But if you are like me and travel not only for great roads, but as well to experience the local atmosphere, think twice about listening to these people. After riding along the whole east coast of the US, I would go as far to say that if you have not been to Florida, your trip to the East Coast is incomplete. Because there is definitely no other state like Florida. Guys, our visit to Florida is already over. If you liked this part of our epic East Coast trip, give this video a thumbs up and comment. Next week, the state Georgia is next, and we will visit famous Jekyll Island and explore some of the highlights of the Peach State. Like always, tune in next Thursday at 7:30 p.m.